Low glycemic, high protein foods give you more energy longer. They cut out the highs and lows. They keep you full longer with a recipe you gotta try. We have one of the best chefs in DC. One of the best chefs?
One of them.
I think the best chef.
The best chef.
Especially in
Bob
Kinkead.
Bob Kinkead, along with Dr. Mary Jane Hines from George Washington Medical Faculty Associates, and we're right here at Bob's house. What are we making? What fantastic recipe do you have for us?
What we're going to be making is basically a Sicilian influenced dish. This is halibut, which is going to be poached in a mixture of white wine and chicken stock with raisins, with celery, pine nuts, and parsley. Very typical flavor combination in much of Italy, but particularly Sicily.
What is low glycemic, high protein? What is that?
Well, when we talk about glycemic load, we're talking about how quickly your blood sugar will spike. Okay, so if it has a high glycemic load, it's going to spike your glucose quickly. And that will in turn spike your insulin. So if you're constantly going up and down with high glycemic loads, you're going to burn out your pancreas, and that's how people get diabetes.
Unlike some chefs, I like to salt seafood a little bit earlier. We're using kosher salt, which is what everybody should be using at home, or coarser sea salt.
Where do you stand on the kosher salt? Moderation? What do you?
Definitely moderation.
Okay, and then I'm going to pepper this.
And definitely pepper it.
Right here, I don't know if you can see this. These are golden raisins, also known as sultanas. I've just poached them in a little bit of water, kind of plump them back up. You just want to bring the texture back up.
What's special about these raisins?
Nothing other than they're white, as opposed to like regular raisins that kids would eat, which are brown from black raisins. These are from white raisins. Next thing we're going to do is sear off the cauliflower. I'm trying to do things that take the longest to the things that are the quickest. And this is kind of an unusual way to prepare the cauliflower. I've cut it up so they're pretty uniform in size. I'm going to put some olive oil.
Olive oil is probably the best.
Why? Why is that?
Because it has a nice mixture, mostly monounsaturated fat. Extra virgin olive oil is considered probably the best heart healthy and weight conscious oil that you can use.
The trick to doing this is most cauliflower recipes require that you blanch it first. I like the flavor of this a lot better. We're going to sear it, brown it on all sides, and let it cook a little bit at the end so it poaches through. But I think this manner of cooking leaves a lot more flavor. The trick to this is to try to keep it hot enough to brown, but not so hot that it burns. Once you get them all brown, we're going to turn it down, and then it's not so critical. But right now, you just don't want them to burn.
So what other vegetables would you recommend doing this?
We do it with cabbage. Instead of like cabbage, usually we boil cabbage to death. We do it just like this as well. Now I'm going to put this on a slower burner.
All right, so we get them to this color.
Yep.
And then we lower the heat.
Yeah, and just let it cook a little bit more. I'll keep watching them, keep turning them. I want them to brown up nicely, and then they'll start to cook from the heat more. I'm going to sear off the fish, just sear them, so it gives it a little bit of color.
So one of the reasons, doctor, this is good for diabetics is it because of the blood sugar.
Right, it has a lower glycemic load. So the vegetables basically don't have any glycemic load at all. So they are just there's a lot of fiber in the vegetables, and fiber is really good. For every gram of fiber you have, and he's going to use garbanzo beans later, you will lose 10 calories. When you have any serving of protein, it shouldn't really be much bigger than the palm of your hand. And for everyone, you should have protein every meal. You should have it for men, 20 grams of protein per meal, and for women, 15 grams.
All right, so we're searing off the fish.
And he's using, again, that extra virgin olive oil.
No skin, obviously, right?
No, these are center cut fillets, beautiful, super fresh.
Someone who's a working mom could make this meal when she gets home from work. You think that's realistic?
Yeah, but
Kind of,
probably
or
on
not
a
really?
Saturday. It's pretty easy. It's not a lot of work.
It's not a difficult recipe.
No, it's not. Okay, you got these. I'm going to put these in here now.
So if you're bomb Kinkead, you could do it.
No problem. And then I'm just going to, one thing I can have, I didn't have done, but I can, just going to do a little pinch more. You only want enough olive oil to keep things from sticking to the pan. First, I just want to saute these. Celery, that's just diced celery. You can put onions in it if you are so inclined. And then garlic.
Because some of the new research with garlic is it may even help with weight loss.
Really?
That actually will limit the fat cells that you have. So garlic is a good food. What you're basically making is things that go with the Mediterranean diet. Right. Okay, which actually shows to promote heart health, okay, may even decrease your risk of heart attack and stroke.
So a lot of benefits.
So Mediterranean diet is mostly vegetable-based diet, fish, right? Fish is great. You should have fish 2 to 3 times a week at least.
All right, so we got the celery and you just sliced up some garlic in there.
Yeah.
Here.
These are pine nuts, which are have been toasted. You need to toast them because it brings out their flavor a lot more.
So you stuck them in the toaster oven for 5 minutes or what?
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
At about 350 degrees.
And nuts.
You got to keep them. They burn very easily, so just
pine nuts or what other nuts burn?
Well, all do, but pine nuts in particular.
Okay.
They all do because they got a lot of natural fat in them,
right.
So they basically fry in their own oil.
Now nuts are really healthy, okay, and they've been associated too with weight loss.
These are chickpeas. You can either make them from scratch, boil them, cook them overnight. Well, soak them overnight, cook them in salted water, and or you can use canned.
The other thing with canned beans is sometimes they're canned vegetables in general if you want to watch the sodium content.
That's one of the reasons.
That's why you wash them off.
Washing them off.
Yeah.
Right. But just in general, canned vegetables.
I'm going to throw in the grate of 1 lemon, and then I'm going to add in the juice of the same.
So do you use a lot of lemon juice?
Huge amount. Well, anything with fish has a natural affinity for lemon in particular.
What's you're known as Mr. Fish.
We do fish. That's
you
what
are
we do.
Fish.
Okay, now that we've got this, I'm just going to put the heat back on here and heat back on the other one very low.
All right. So are these? How do you know these are ready?
They're not.
Oh, they're not ready.
Just
okay.
seared. They're completely raw.
All right.
This is where the poaching part comes in. Poaching is basically to cook in a liquid. There's certain sexy ingredients and sexy cooking terms that sell things and others that decrease your sales. Saying something's poached decreases sales.
Poach takes it down.
And you were saying
But poaching is easily the most healthy way to do fish by far.
So you're poaching it in wine?
I just putting a little wine in there. And then the other part of this that we're doing is chicken stock. And this is chicken stock that's homemade.
All right, so you're just taking out the cauliflower.
Yeah, I put them back and forth.
Back and forth.
It was that or put them on all these different plates. But, I want these to cook a little bit more and they can poach in that.
So you're getting the flavor from the fish
and the cauliflower. Now I'm going to
what other vegetables do well with poaching?
Well, it's not so much the vegetables do with poaching. Almost all green vegetables need to be blanched. All right. Now we're putting in the sultanas.
So you're going to have some sweet from the raisins.
Sour from the lemon. Celery, cauliflower. Another thing you could have put in here instead of lemon was vinegar, white wine vinegar or white balsamic, something like that.
So you've just been simmering this or?
Right.
Yeah. Just let it continue to cook. The flavors blend.
The last things we're going to use is parsley. I washed and picked this before. It's about a packed cup. This is more than a cup. This is actually a 2-cup measure. But,
so you're using a lot of parsley there.
Yeah.
This is.
It serves 2 purposes. One is color, because it's otherwise it's kind of like cream colors and light brown. And then fresh Italian parsley just really makes flavor pop. I use it a huge amount. And in fact, in Italy, they tend to use parsley way more than basil, because most people think basil's, you know, pesto.
Right.
But in fact, Italians use parsley way more.
So it gives it great color now. Yeah.
I'm going to plate one of them for you, and then I'll plate the rest, and you guys can eat them. So.
And we know this is done, the fish is done how?
The fish takes 2 seconds when it's poached. I just poached it for, well, you saw maybe a couple of minutes. I just want to kind of put enough cauliflower on to make it look pretty.
So that's the chicken stock and the wine that's cooked in the fish?
With the fish poaching.
Just to sort of blend all the flavors there together some more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty low calorie, definitely very healthy food. You use very little fat. You got chickpeas in there, you got other vegetables, and it's got a huge amount of flavor, especially the sweet tart of the raisins, pine nuts, etc. So
yeah, you got all the different.
There you go.
Let's put that down.
Looks like a wonderful meal. Really, it has your vegetables. Okay, it has beans, which will give you fiber and protein. Don't forget the beans are also a source of protein. We have fish. You know, not a perfect size fish almost, 3 to 5 ounces, you know, not too much.
Probably 4 ounces.
4 ounces, a perfect size, and then vegetables around it. This is like a perfect meal.
A perfect meal.
Extra virgin olive oil, which is what we recommend.
Plus somebody else made it, which makes it taste sad.
And plus Bob Kinkead made it, so oh my God, we're all set, right?
There you go.
Let's take a taste. Let's try it.
The hunger.
And the key now, the taste. There you go. You gonna have a taste here, Bob, with us?
Probably not. But
No. Okay. All right. You go first, Doctor.
Okay, I'm gonna try the vegetable.
Here, you got it.
Oh no.
Broccoli, the halibut, the chickpeas, the garlic.
That is absolutely delicious.
That is really good. Low glycemic, high protein, and tastes great. It can be done. And it was done. Best part by Bob Kinkead.
What a deal, huh?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.